For TRICHOMES.com, I'm Jarod Duggins, and this is the Careers in Cannabis podcast. On this show, we sit down with staffing agencies, cannabis companies, and other industry professionals to discuss employment opportunities in the burgeoning cannabis industry. Today's guest has been navigating her own career in cannabis since she joined the working population. One of the few who have had the chance to see the development of the cannabis culture, which has really had a hand in leading us to where we are as a community today, a culture-fueled, emerging industry. Having participated in everything from content creation and copywriting to judging the first of its kind Cannabis Cup competitions and cook-offs, our guest then used the experience she gained to begin consulting and working with some of the biggest and longest standing brands in the industry today. We are joined today by Elise McDonough, brand manager of Confections for CannaCraft, a vertically integrated cannabis company. Elise, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, my pleasure. As we always do, amidst this global pandemic and time area we're going through, we've advanced into summertime California, and it's seemingly, again, the whole West Coast is on fire. As we discussed a little earlier, you're up north. How are you doing right now?
I'm doing okay. I'm working from home in Sebastopol, and we had the Wallbridge fire to the north of us, but that's since been put out and contained, and we're just sitting tight and trying to stay healthy, staying inside, and we're just trying to get through it, you know?
Yeah, stay out of that eerie orange light that seems to be from dawn till dusk right now. I thought we were supposed to have that in October.
It does remind me of Blade Runner 2049. It really looks like that.
Right? It's super surreal. Makes for a nice sunset, but that's always just really the one upside to the tragic happenings of these fires. So glad you're safe. Glad you and your family are doing well.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, as we always do in Careers in Cannabis, I'd like to get to know a little bit about how you came to your career in cannabis. I know you're working with CannaCraft and as a brand manager of Confections. Well, how'd you get into that spot? What brought you to cannabis, first of all, and what kind of history led up to you having the ability to have that job title?
Yeah, my story is a long and winding road for sure. I've been working in cannabis for my entire professional career since I graduated from college. So it's been about 18 years now, just about. And I went to the School of Visual Arts in New York City and graduated with a degree in graphic design and marketing and advertising. And I had a very inspirational teacher, James Victori, and I remember a speech that he gave us when we were seniors. And he said, go out and apply for your dream job and, shoot for the moon, do whatever you want to do. And so I was very inspired by that message. And I went and applied to a lot of my favorite magazines and media places like MTV and Rolling Stone and High Times. And I was interested in cannabis, and I luckily scored a job there right out of college as an art assistant. And it was like winning the lottery. It really was just being in the right place at the right time and working hard. And, I started at the entry level there and worked my way up to being their production director. Back when, print was vibrant and selling. I was in charge of shipping the magazine to press and making sure that we hit our deadlines. And we did, we put out a magazine every single month, and it was a very exciting environment. And around that time, I also got really interested in cooking. I had been a vegetarian for a long time, and I was taking classes on the nights and weekends at the Natural Gourmet Institute in New York City. And I got into making edibles, and I pitched a cookbook to High Times, the High Times official cannabis cookbook. And that sort of sparked a trend in publishing of many cannabis cookbooks that have come since then. But that was one of the first that was really beautifully professionally produced and put out by a major publisher, Chronicle Books.
I do remember that one. That was a great book.
Yeah, so that sort of started me on this road of writing about edibles and creating recipes. And I was the first ever High Times edibles editor. So the thing about cannabis at that point and about working at High Times was, we all wore a bunch of different hats. So we were all doing all kinds of different things. And even though like ostensibly my job was to be a graphic designer and production director, I was also creating edibles recipes and pitching articles. And, that was the cool thing about that place at that time, was that if you were a young person and you were passionate about what, pitching new projects and ideas, they would occasionally just let you run with something. So that was very cool. And I also got into event production. Everyone who worked for the magazine would go to Amsterdam every year, and we would have the Cannabis Cup competition and festival, which was, 5 days long, and coffee shop crawl. We had an expo at a place called the Milk Bag. We had nighttime concerts. So we were all charged with going there and working different functions. And I ran the front desk and like the merch booth and learned all kinds of different things. And then when we brought the Cannabis Cup to the United States in 2010, my graphic design role then expanded into making, merchandise and collateral and printed materials for the events. But then I got into like site operations and, planning out the site plans and ordering all the, tents, tables, and chairs and managing all that kind of stuff. So it really just kind of organically grew, and my career went in a lot of different places. So I think that's something for people to consider is, you don't have to get too specialized. Sometimes it's good to be able to be flexible and have a lot of different skills.
Definitely. And to be part of the fabled beginnings, origins of the High Times Cannabis Cup, especially when it was over in Europe, exclusively. Before it came over here, it really had an exclusive edge to it based on the fact that most Americans hadn't experienced such liberties as being able to smoke cannabis publicly in that type of an event. So, wow, to be part of that. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that with us. But please continue. How'd that lead you to the next part of that windy road?
Yeah, I mean, we grew the Cannabis Cup from being a 3,000 person annual event to bringing it stateside. And we had, 50,000 people show up in Denver in 2015. And that remains, one of my proudest achievements and like happiest memories to look back on. And we expanded the cup into, different markets: San Francisco, LA, Seattle, Michigan, Denver. So yeah, it was a really exciting and special time and place. And so basically what happened is that kind of all became too much. I was working an average of 60 hours a week. I was writing articles. I was working events. I was drafting manuscripts for books. So at a certain point, they had gotten big enough that we hired a professional festival production crew. And I shifted to focus exclusively on writing more about edibles, and as the first ever edibles editor. So that's the other thing. It's like, it's good to know like when to tell your employer that you're being stretched too thin, and to continue to develop your own career path based on what you're most passionate about. And so that led me to leaving High Times in 2017 when the company was sold. And then I went to work for Vice Munchies in collaboration with their edibles on the book Bong Appétit. So that was an extension of the popular television show. And so that just continued my career in the realm of edibles and cannabis-infused foods. And that was a great experience and a ton of fun. And I had been connected to the Bong Appétit crew through my partner, David Bienenstock, had produced episodes when it was a web series. And so we've remained tight with all those people to this day. And yeah, it was also just another really special moment of this cultural phenomena, just showing people the versatility of cannabis as an ingredient and showcasing the creativity of chefs. So yeah, I just remain very grateful. It's been an amazing ride and an adventure, 100%.
It's funny. You mentioned the time period of which you left High Times. Were you part of the first chef cook-off for High Times?
I conceived and produced that, yes.
boy, that was fun to participate in. So really, for you to have conceived that, and yeah, I'm sure we've run into each other before. It's when you've taken a lifelong career path in cannabis, sometimes the professional surroundings were a bit thin. You saw a lot of the same faces quite often.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was a very small community, and then it's since gotten larger and larger, and it's really been this wonderful cannabis renaissance. And yeah, I look back on judging for the Cannabis Cup. I judged probably like 500 edibles over the course of those events from 2010 to 2016, and it's been incredible just to see the evolution of the industry from very basic homemade edibles to a tightly regulated marketplace with dosage limits and child resistant packaging, and a lot has happened in a very short amount of time.
It has. It definitely has. And in that short period of time, what happened between High Times and where you're at now? Obviously, the background and your experience played directly into the Confections in CannaCraft, which, they're a leader in the space. But was there anything between High Times and CannaCraft?
Yes, I actually went into consulting, and I had my own boutique consulting firm called Convivial Consulting. And I was helping a lot of smaller mom and pop brands transition to the legalized marketplace, working on different projects involving content creation and like website redesign, copywriting. I was also working for a dispensary in Santa Cruz called Kind Peoples, and I helped them transition into we had a legal sale day event that garnered a lot of press, including international press and nationwide attention on our first ever, legal sales day event in Santa Cruz. So that was a lot of fun. And that's where I felt like my experience from being involved in cannabis media really translated into marketing efforts, because I understood what a tremendous event that was going to be. And we created quite a splash and got a lot of attention for Kind People. So that was great. And I also did a lot of work for a Santa Cruz brand called Big Pete's Treats. They've been in the business for 10 years. It's a family-run company. And so I really was just focused on helping authentic cannabis people from the community make their way into this new legalized, regulated marketplace. And so that's what I was doing 2018, 2019, as well as contributing to Cannabis Now and Leafly and other media outlets. So it definitely helps to have, stackable skill set where you can do a lot of different things simultaneously. And then that brought me to CannaCraft, and I had always been a fan of their products and their brands. And I applied for a job and eventually was selected to join the team. And yeah, I've been there for about a year.
Well, with credentials and experience like that, I can't see how they or anyone could have turned you down. But yeah, no, they definitely are lucky to have you aboard, Elise, with experience like yours. The people who made the leap from the, as I like to refer to sometimes as the legacy market, into the legal and tax market are few. It's in far and few in between. There's quite a few people who opted not to make the jump at all, not to stay in the business at all. But there's quite a few people out there operating business as usual. And so to have made that transition and to have done it at such high levels is definitely accolades your way.
Thanks. Yeah. What really drew me to CannaCraft was their authenticity. And I know that the co-founders, Dennis Hunter and Ned Fussell, had been cannabis cultivators in the Prohibition era. The company was raided. Dennis had spent time in federal prison. So I knew that they were truly committed to cannabis culture. And I was, that was what drew me to wanting to be a part of that team.
Oh, and that's something that I hold near and dear as well, is making sure that the past is remembered as part of what got us here as an industry, because soon it'll be part of the conventional or traditional markets, and realistically outside of medicines and that kind of thing. Well, I guess in light of medicines and consumerism and recreational activities, it's going to become more of a commodity than I think any of us from the original markets anticipated or ever hoped would happen either way. So it's going to be interesting, as you said, to see where it's come from, where we saw it come from, to where it's going to be 10 years from now.
Exactly. Yeah. Once we get nationwide legalization, it's going to be something else. And yeah, I think it's important that we tell our stories and we honor the pioneers and we keep that as part of our brand identity. People want to hear about those stories and those times. And I think there's a lot of nostalgia for it.
Definitely. Well, as brand manager, and part of CannaCraft, I know you and Dennis are going to help keep those stories alive. As part of Careers in Cannabis, we also like to highlight where there might be opportunities. I know CannaCraft is always growing. Do you have any transitions or emergencies happening? And are there any jobs because of it?
Yeah, CannaCraft employs about 200 people in a variety of departments. It's a really big place. So there's almost always some kind of hiring going on. And we recently have a new chief marketing officer, Angela Pye, who came over from Papa and Barkley, where she had been previously. And so she is building a great team. And currently we're looking for a field marketing manager. We're looking for brand ambassadors. And they're looking for people across many departments, including finance and inventory, customer service, production. So there's a lot to do at CannaCraft and for a variety of skill sets and skill levels as well.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And for our listeners, they'll be able to find, in the bio links for this. But for people who are listening on the go or whatnot, is there a particular place that we can send them, a .com or, a website?
Yeah, if you go to CannaCraft.com, there's a big careers tab right at the top, and that'll take you to all the current job listings.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Elise. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the tour down the windy road of your experience and background in cannabis. It's definitely one that I know our listeners will find interesting, and it's great to have someone like you continue on in the industry with us. It's definitely needed, and keeping the narrative close to its origins is really important. So thanks for being a part of the show today, and thanks for your contributions on bringing the industry to where it is today.
Oh, thanks so much. And, I think what's really important for people to remember is, it's not just about the cannabis, it's about the people, it's about the community. And, I still take the advice of my mentor to heart and just tell people to shoot for the moon, and whatever your imagination is with cannabis, like there's something to be done. It's a very exciting time.
Most definitely. Elise McDonough of CannaCraft, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You can follow our series, Careers in Cannabis, as well as more great shows like this one at TRICHOMES.com. If you're a member of the cannabis community and you have a story you want to share with us, reach out. You can reach us at careersincannabis@TRICHOMES.com. Please take a second to subscribe to the show and write a review. It really helps others find the show. For TRICHOMES.com, I'm Jarod Duggins. Be well, and thank you for listening.